Hello, this is historian Dr. Maxine Keown. I want to introduce you to my new book, Waterford's War of Independence, with special emphasis on the Pickardstown Ambush. My emphasis is on the Pickardstown Ambush because I'm a native of Tramore. I grew up here hearing the stories of the Pickardstown Ambush, but to be fair, I really didn't hear the full story of what the Pickardstown Ambush was when I was growing up. This is the story of idealistic men and women that became involved in a national movement. It wasn't just about Waterford or about Tramore, but throughout the whole nation of Ireland, the Irish people following the 1916 Rising and possibly following all the generations of people before that. But no effort had achieved so much as the 1916 Rising because it had brought these men out. It had brought young idealistic men who were too young at the time to be involved in 1916 Rising, but had turned 17, 18, 19, 20 and decided that they wanted their own nation, to be part of their own nation with their own language, their own dance, their own games, their own culture activities. They no longer wanted to be part of a Great Britain because they weren't British, they were Irish. Throughout my book, what you'll see is, or what you'll read, is the background of who these men were, why they got involved, what was their ideological thinking at the time, what was important throughout Ireland, and what distinguished the east of Waterford more than any other place in the whole of Ireland. In the election of late 1918, Sinn Féin took seats throughout Ireland, with the exception of 3 seats in the Unionist stronghold of Belfast and 1 seat in the city of Waterford. That 1 seat was held by the Irish Parliamentary Party leader John Redmond, and John Redmond and John Redmond's son continued to hold the only IPP seat in Ireland and to defeat Sinn Féin. And so the East Waterford Brigade had an enormous task for themselves outside of everybody else. They had a military campaign coinciding with a political campaign, and you could not possibly underestimate this political campaign because it was the seat of the head of the IPP. It was so important. It brought people like De Valera, Cathal Brugha, etc., Arthur Griffith, all through Waterford. You can read all the aspects of the lead up to Waterford's War of Independence, and then followed on to the Pickardstown Ambush as part of it, and then also the Great Escape. And the Great Escape was the story of Nicholas Whittle as he tried to get away from the Black and Tans and get away from the military, and how he spent hours on the night of the 7th and into the early morning of the 8th of January in the biting cold of an Irish winter, trying to find succour, find some shelter. Eventually he did, but it's quite an amazing story. The Pickardstown Ambush has not been told in the past, I believe, fairly, and I hope that I've done some justice this time because I've focused on who these men are, and I've focused on where their ideology has come from. And I focused on also that it wasn't just an East versus a West campaign. It was all these young men that came together. And on the evening on the 7th of January 1921, up to 60 people got together, and it turned out to be the largest ambush in Waterford it was. And it can't be measured in failure or success because the Pickardstown Ambush is a part of the story for Waterford's independence that was occurring throughout the whole of the country. And each ambush and each skirmish and each attack and each raid was significant and important. It's the effect of all of them together that let the authorities know that they had lost control. The British authorities, the biggest military might in the world, had lost control, and ultimately they had to negotiate, and they had to negotiate for peace, and that led to the path of Ireland achieving their own independence. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy my publication, and I'm hoping that it will give you a greater understanding of the men involved in the Pickardstown Ambush in Tramore, County Waterford. Thank you. This is Maxine Keown.